Welcome, everybody, to the Wrestling Informer. I'm Cav Manning. I do the Lingus Mafia podcast, among other ones as well. I am with your number one source for all of your wrestling news, and it is getting heated up because it is Mania time. That is Mr. Billy Body. What's happening, Billy?
Hi.
So, thank God, Hughesy. I'd like to send a special thanks out to Hughes because he was going to post the last show on Saturday, and you had told everybody that Ricochet was going to win the U.S. title, where if it came out on Saturday, everyone would have said, hey.
The Intercontinental.
Oh, sorry, yes. Intercontinental. And they would have said, hey, thanks for the heads up on Saturday as it happened on Friday. So thank God it went out on time.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of stuff last week. Unfortunately, what you said happened in terms of we saved things, and they ended up bits of it ended up coming out through the week. But obviously, we can still talk about it. We said last week there were problems with Austin, so we have that on here. We just didn't elaborate on what they are. And you can see this week that there's no match essentially at the moment. So that kind of alludes to what I was talking about. It's just a shame that I didn't specify what it was before it came out. But I think people know.
It's weird with the Austin thing because I was thinking, do they not even know? Like, it's not like they know and they're giving it to us in pieces. Do you think they don't even know what's going on? Because Austin, in his rebuttal on Twitter, was like, I don't care if it's a match, a brawl, a KO show, or whatever. And it was like, do they know if he's going to actually have a match yet? Or are they trying? Is this the discussion?
They need to proceed with what they're doing. So, obviously, hold on a second. You're not coming out of my ears, and I'm wondering why I've got these on. You're not coming out of my ears. Just turn it on.
That'll do. I'll come out of your ears.
What's going on here? Why is it not coming on?
Test.
Supposed to make a little bleepy sound.
Now you were fading in and out, but I got you now, I think.
Yeah, your lips don't match up to the sound.
Well, that Chinese movie internet that you have, it's okay. We can continue on. Apparently, when it goes on YouTube, it's fine on my site, so whatever.
Yeah, you don't need to see us. You can just hear us if you can. And then hear my fake lisp that this gives me. So
that should be discussed too, that this show gives you a lisp that is beyond bizarre, because I don't hear it while we're talking.
We did discuss it last week. So my story from last week, and the reason why we save stuff is not because we're trying to fill out the next show, because we can do a 20-minute show and we can do an hour and a half show the next week. But people complain and they turn around and go, just get to the news, and don't, it's like the show starts here. These idiots are still doing that. Look, we do a show. We're not going to do a list. I'm never going to do a list. I'm never going to read out a bunch of shit, because what's the point of Cav being there? I could just come on here and just read a list of stuff. If you want that, just go on my website, because this stuff is available in list form in terms of a couple of paragraphs. All you need to do is go to thedirtysheets.com and it'll be there. But if you want to hear us discuss it, which is what you're here for, and give some insight into it and give my opinions in terms of why this happened or where it's going to go next, this is the show. And the problem is that if we do pin up a show that's an hour and a half and we do cover every single bit of news when it happens, then you'll get people complaining about the show being too long, or we wasted time here and there. Look, we're going to talk about stuff in depth. We're going to veer off and talk about other things. Last week, we didn't do a proper AEW preview, and we had to take 3 stories out. And the reason we did all that is because of the complainants. I didn't have shit to do. I could have done a 2-hour show last week, and today I could have done a 20-minute show and gone to bed earlier. It's already 2:30 a.m. anyway. But the way it's worked out is this show is going to be relatively decent length, and last week's was really long. So what we took out was this story about Stone Cold Steve Austin and about the problems of Stone Cold Steve Austin. And the problems were very much what you saw. They're not in agreement in terms of what Stone Cold wants to do. There's issues in terms of the very first issue was the return dates. Now, the WWE wanted Austin to return on the 14th of March. Then you'd have all the stuff out for 316 Day, which is on Wednesday. They wanted him to go on the bump on Wednesday. They wanted him to be in full promotional mode for WrestleMania and be involved in the running up to WrestleMania and the match with Kevin Owens. Steve Austin does not want to be at Jacksonville on the 14th. He just wants to be at WrestleMania. He wants to preserve that pop. And the problem with that is that there is no build-up essentially to the match. So what Austin wants to do is Austin wants to have the confrontation, have a confrontation at WrestleMania. He doesn't want to have a match. Whereas they're very, very much into the match and they want to promise some physicality, which is why we hit this middle ground of there's going to be 100% physicality on a talk show because it's pretty much advertised, but there's no match. And that's just a lot of this down to the fact that Austin doesn't really want to do a match. Austin doesn't want to be in Jacksonville on the 14th. Austin, there's even stupid little bits of old fights, like old fights about music. Austin likes a music that he had at WrestleMania 17, where he won the belt from The Rock. Mm-hmm. And then they changed that music immediately. They gave him a different music when he was heel with the Alliance. They gave him Alliance music. But he likes the music that was in between. So in between that return and the heel turn, that's the music that he likes. And he feels like that would be something that he should be coming out to. Now, the origins of that music are interesting because when the WWE had Steve Austin coming back in the year 2000, they had remixed this track with Snoop Dogg for Stone Cold to have in order to revamp the character. But Steve Austin said that he didn't want to come out to hip-hop. He said absolutely not what he was about and not what he wanted to do. He did not want to come out to this track. This track ended up going out on some fucking Pie CD with The Rock, with The Rock's singing debut about pie or something. Do you remember that?
I do.
Right. So that's where this song landed. Snoop Dogg was paid like $100,000 to sing Stone Cold's music, and they never used it because Steve Austin said he didn't want it. So I've had this issue before, but it's not the main issue. It's just one of loads of issues about what type of match, length of match, if there should be a match, when he returns, why he should return, how much stuff he wants to do we save the pop for Texas? And look, the bottom line is that Steve Austin wins on every single front. Steve Austin does what he wants to do because he's in control with if he appears or if he doesn't appear. He doesn't need any money. And even in his absence, he's the second highest T-shirt seller in the whole of the WWE. Man. Obviously down to the fact that they've gone ahead and marketed and franchised Los Angeles 316, Chicago 316, New York 316, Brooklyn 316, Philly 316, all that stuff that he gets the royalties for. They've gone and made that, but at the end of the day, you need to have you can't dismiss the 316 element of it because it's not going to work if it's Brooklyn is Claymore country,
yeah,
or Philly is Claymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna do as well. Not to shit on Drew or anything, but yeah, it's Steve Austin's part in that can't be dismissed. So they're primarily the issues. And as we head to WrestleMania, we're still going to see this hybrid of a match talk show segment. One thing I will say, and this is a very strong indicator that the proper match with Steve Austin in his trunks, like Cav was fantasizing about seeing him topless in his trunks and everything, what Cav was like clamoring for. The fact
well, don't say it like it's that reason. I want to see my wrestler as a wrestler. That's what I wanted to see. And I mean, how lame is it?
Your wrestler's in shape. Like that's not the issue that he's not in shape. He's in shape because he's known he was doing Mania for 5 months. But the fact is that it's on WrestleMania Saturday, and WrestleMania Saturday's already stacked, and now it's got this as well. So it's got 2 women's title matches, Logan Paul and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like WrestleMania Saturday is proper stacked up. But the indicator of this is that that if it was on WrestleMania Sunday, it would be much more likely that it would be a match, and they would eventually get to a match. So I think this is just going to be a very physical talk show.
I would much rather this not even happen then. If it's not going to be a match, I don't need to see a KO show to where it's the same thing with him insulting and getting insulted, and then it ends with a stunner and pouring beer on him, and that's we've seen it enough. I love to see Austin and all that kind of stuff, but I don't need to see this kind of thing. there is a McMahon documentary going on. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so I don't know if we talked about this last week, but
I don't believe so.
There's news out about whether he, there was a news story out about him wrestling on this show, which we can confirm that I'd heard the same thing. And then this week, Austin Theory makes the challenge. He goes with Pat McAfee, and Austin Theory confirms he's the opponent on the SmackDown on Friday. And now everybody's grilling Meltzer and all these other guys that said that he was going to have a match and whatnot. So let me tell you what I know. First of all, I'm not going to read Dave Meltzer's stories because for some reason that's unpopular. But for me, the reason I do that is because Meltzer's news is news in itself. If Meltzer's wrong, that's news. Because Meltzer, still up until this point, is highly regarded as the number one source and the number one voice in wrestling. And that includes if they end up doing documentaries and whatnot. Now, obviously, he's not going to be in the WWE's Netflix documentary of Vince McMahon. But all these other Dark Side of the Ring and all that bullshit, they all go for Dave Meltzer. So he's still a big voice. And when he's completely wrong about stuff and embarrasses himself, it is something that we need to talk about. It's not a case of shitting on Dave Meltzer because I don't like Dave Meltzer. It's a case of shitting in Dave Meltzer because when you're I am the number one source statistically, but when he's the number one source in terms of how he's universally regarded,
mainstream,
you have to take a shit on him when he's completely wrong, which is a lot. So he's wrong about what he's saying here. He's saying about there was a run sheet and it had Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kevin Owens wrestling, had Steve Austin wrestling, and it had Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee, and now the new sheet that's changed. Dude, what are you fucking talking about? There's no sheet of paper. There's no handout or PDF or anything that goes out to people going, oh, hey, this is the WrestleMania card now. And hey, this is the WrestleMania card now. And hey, Dave Meltzer, have a look at this piece of paper that we were handed out by our boss. We're not supposed to talk to you, but here's the piece of paper that says that these are the matches now. That doesn't happen. There's no piece of paper. There's no sheets. It's just like this thing where they turn around and go, somebody reported this week, some dog shit source reported this week saying Ricochet is now regarded as the number 2 babyface on SmackDown. Like there's a list of number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all this stuff. It's all mythological. It's all said by people that have never set foot in a locker room and don't know anybody in the WWE and don't know anybody that works in the WWE locker room. It's all bullshit. There's no mythological WrestleMania list. The only list that exists is inside Vince's head. And there may be some brainstorming where they put some shit on the blackboard and go, okay, this is what we've got now or whatever. And obviously there are things that go out to marketing where they turn around and go, okay, we're pushing ahead with this match. And yes, I like that photograph. I don't like that photograph. Yes to that, no to that. Do you get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like artwork. There needs to be artwork and whatnot. There's going to be signage for this WrestleMania. There's going to be merchandise, programs, T-shirts, everything. So everything, you do need to get the ball rolling with some stuff. But when it's lower level stuff, you don't necessarily need to, which is why, we saw a match taken off the card this week with Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. Randy Orton and Matt Riddle probably doesn't need to be on this Mania card, and they're your third biggest merchandise sellers in the company. I mean, they're the reason why Big E's title run, stopped, because Big E's title run, was being Big E as a champion was being outsold by Matt Riddle. I actually took a picture of something this week. Can you see this?
Yeah.
I bought this Yokozuna figure, which is outselling Big E 4-1.
Yeah, people like the old school stuff, and I guess we're the people buying it. Well, you are, because we're in that age bracket, and the stuff nowadays you're not as fired up about. And plus, it's current. I think everything with the old school, if it was, I don't know, it's probably NFL style the same way. Like, we would buy old NFL figures before I'd buy new ones.
Well, when people turn around and said, anybody could have guessed that he wasn't going to be the champion for long because of the booking, when I said he's going to lose the championship, well, that's bullshit, because when he won the belt, he's supposed to be carrying that belt into WrestleMania. He was supposed to be beating John Cena at WrestleMania in a title defense. Now, John Cena is not even on this card anymore, but look, if you don't believe me, this is a toy. This is a toy that they created that's now out.
God.
And
yeah,
unfortunately,
I've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now.
now he's driving that shit around, but he's not the champion. So this is how far they plan certain things ahead.
Yeah.
But moving back onto this Vince thing. So in terms of people now saying this is what's going to happen, and everybody piggybacked on he is wrestling, and now everybody piggybacked on he's not wrestling, and now Dave has the reason for it. He goes, oh, he just looked in the mirror and he decided that he's like 73, and then he's also talking about how the match was going to go. And look, it's all bullshit. Like you can tell when this guy starts making it up. Here's the thing: they weren't right when they said he was wrestling, and now they're not right when they're saying that he isn't wrestling. This is what I know, and I'll tell you what I know, and I'm not going to add my own bits into it, right? This is what I know. Mm-hmm. There's a documentary on Netflix, okay? On that documentary, Vince McMahon is going to be established as a crazy, lunatic, insane workaholic who doesn't sleep, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who just work, obsess, work out at 2 a.m. The workout at 2 a.m. and staying awake to eat after you train, which is what people do, you need protein, and then he goes to bed. So he trains at 2, eats at 3, and then goes to bed, right? Yeah. He eats after that workout. That is something that is heavily on this documentary in terms of establishing how Vince is and the things that he does, the quirks of Vince. Now, the ending of the documentary is the cherry on the cake of how insane Vince is and how he works so hard and the things that he can do and are not normal for a 73-year-old. You have to convey that by having him get in the ring. That is the ending that they've envisioned, right? Their perfect ending is showing you that he can still do it. Now, we know he can't, but we also know that 2 years ago, when Gronk didn't want to take the bump in the Performance Center, but Vince McMahon took it, right? Yeah. So whatever he's doing, don't disregard the fact that he's going to be involved in this match. Don't disregard the fact that he's training for this match and that he's in shape. Whether he takes one bump, whether he faces McAfee after Theory, whether he comes in on a handicap match or whatever, Vince McMahon is going to be physically involved in this WrestleMania. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I know. I know that the end of this documentary is going to involve Vince McMahon showing you that he's an insane workaholic, topped off with the cherry, that he's going to do something physically at WrestleMania. It's not going to be a one-on-one match now. We know that. But I'm not going to jump on the other bandwagon. Like, these idiots are they're such frauds. They turn around and go, oh, he's wrestling. And then they go, oh, he's wrestling because of this. He's wrestling because of that. And it's like, now he's not wrestling. Oh, it changed because of this. It changed because of that. And then the other ones are laughing at the ones that said it. Look, you're all fucking liars, right? The situation is this. He's got a documentary. They thought this would be a good end to it. I don't think, in my opinion, which is an important word when we're talking about stuff on this show, in my opinion, what I heard is that they were going to have a big ending here to this documentary at WrestleMania, and this is the narrative that they're pushing. And this is another important point. WWE control the narrative of the documentary because WWE have something which is legally called the right to copy. Right to copy means that they get a copy of the final product. If they don't like it, they get to change it. Now, that's something that they didn't have with Wrestling with Shadows. They allowed people to come in and shoot everything. They learned their lesson. It was essentially a burial about what a fucking horrible place this is to work at. So they're never going to do that again. It's going to look like the nicest place to work. The McMahons are going to look amazing. And Vince in particular is going to look like a genetic freak. Like, he's going to look like a fucking freak. Yeah. So what would a freak do in WrestleMania? I know that they have a big ending in plan. Like, I never came on and said it was 100% wrestling in a one-on-one match. I stand by what I was told, which is this. So let's move on. What else do you want to talk about?
Well, just to put a bow on the end of that one, why the hell would Vince say, I'm going to have a match at Mania and it's against a guy who doesn't wrestle at all full time or at all, and put your life in his hands when you're 70 some years old and you're, I understand if it's Triple H or somebody like that who you're going to be protected and all that kind of stuff, but why would you do a guy who doesn't wrestle? There is.
I think it's because it draws. I think it draws in the most eyeballs that you can get to. I would assume.
But I mean, that's a lot of risk. What about Brock's contract after Mania? Are we still seeing him? Is he going away?
Yeah. So this is something we saved from last week. Thankfully, there's nothing happened in terms of rendering this irrelevant. So we say. Brock Lesnar will go away after Mania, but he's not going to be done for good for the rest of the year. Brock will be back again this year. It's not going to be one of those cases where he's spoken out this week and said he thought he was done after WrestleMania 36. He knows he's not done after WrestleMania 38. So this is not the last of Brock. The reason I know that is because through my sources, I know there's marketing material out, and it's going to be merchandising for Brock 20. Now, we've seen no mention of Brock 20 at the moment. Brock 20 is not going to be a thing during this run. But when Brock does return, if he does even go off TV at all, but when he's back, there will be some heavy emphasis on this Brock 20 merchandising, which is to symbolize that Brock Lesnar debuted in 2002. And 2002, add 20 years to 2, you get 22.
Yes. I had to take my shoes and socks off to figure that one out, though. Shotzi's been having some problems.
Yeah. So there's issues with Shotzi within the WWE. Now, there was some big heat on her when she played a prank to say that she was marrying one of her friends. I think it's like a fellow independent wrestler, and they basically made out that they were lesbians and then said, oh, we're just joking, we're not really getting married or whatever. And it copped a lot of heat just for being a bit immature. Since then, there's been monitoring of her social media, and she's come out in support of people that have been released, always talking and supporting Scarlett, including liking and retweeting tweets I'm so much happier on the other side. This grass is greener stuff. And it's just resulted in a massive burial, which is what's going on. She's not featured anymore at all based on the fact that she did this stuff. So that's what's going on with Shotzi. Her social media has got her into trouble, and they think she's immature. And they're showing her with booking. Oh, she's not involved in Mania at all. She's not one of these people that I don't think is going to be squeezed in. You see that women's mixed tag match is getting more and more people added on. There'll be another couple of people that they'll try and get onto Mania. That match won't be a triple threat, I don't think. I think it will go up to a 4-way. But there will also be some women that miss out.
Speaking of going into Mania with the card and everything like that, they're doing the multi-tag team matches, but some things might be changed, and there might be a little bit of Cody news and what they're doing with Rollins.
Yeah, so the card is fluid, as I said. They're not changing Brock and Roman. Steve Austin's going to be there, and what capacity, that remains still up in the air even right now. But I believe it will still be just be a talk show. Your women's title matches. So they know what they're doing with the main stuff. Everything else is fluid, which includes Cody Rhodes. Now, there is space for Cody Rhodes on this card. Cody Rhodes is supposed to be on the WrestleMania card. But
you don't think he's just showing up the day after Mania? You actually think he's going to be... I mean, is this opinion that you know he's going to be at Mania, or or do you know for sure he's being at WrestleMania or whatever?
There's a space for Cody Rhodes on the Mania card, but they can't agree on where they're going to get him on or how they're going to do this. And I'll talk about that now. So what they've done is that multi-man tag team match that was supposed to be the Usos, Nakamura, and Boogs. We spoke about that last week, and they've already started to build up for that now. So thank you, Husey, again. Usos, Nakamura, Boogs, New Day, Sheamus, and Holland, and the I forget their name now. The Lotharios. So these guys were supposed to be in a multi-man tag match or tag team turmoil or something to get everybody on the card. What they've done is they've set up separate feuds between Boogs and Nakamura and Sheamus and Holland and the New Day with the tank and with the scooter thing. What's it called?
ATV.
The ATV, that's it. So they've set up separate feuds for that. Now, they can merge this together, obviously, if they want to just make it one match, if the card's getting too full. But they need to make as many matches as possible because they've got 2 nights, especially when you lose matches like Randy Orton and Riddle are now just keeping the tag belts, so they'll defend the tag belts, and the tag belts are going to be defended anyway. So you lose that Orton Riddle match because Orton, and the reason for that is Orton Riddle are going to be red hot merchandise sellers during WrestleMania with their collective merchandise, as opposed to, and you know how Mania works. Like, you know, people are sitting there going, "Oh, you're just covering your shit." No, fuck you. Go to WrestleMania and like get out your mum's basement and have a look what goes on. Save your money and live out your dreams. I can get to 15 WrestleManias from England because I actually I'm successful. And
I thought you were going to say
can't
Mark.
get there from successful Mark. But if you're watching a YouTube show about wrestling and you live in the USA and you've never been to America, you need to sort your life out. There's no excuse for that.
Or if you've ever,
if you're this much of a,
you mean if they've never been to WrestleMania?
Yeah,
you said if they're in America and haven't, or if they're in the United States and haven't been to America.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, that's why I'm like, hold on a minute. Okay. So
it's 2:55. It's 2:55.
I mean, listen,
morning, so.
WrestleMania, is not a cheap thing to do and go with, and you got to have buddies you want to go with, things like that. I mean, things got to work out.
Yeah, exactly. They might not have the people that comment on there might not have any friends. I don't think they have. My point is that you know and I know that it's not one day, right? It's 2 days now, but it's not just those 2 days.
Yeah,
the WrestleMania shop is open for a week. Cav, tell people the size of that thing and the things that you can get there and the things that are made specifically for WrestleMania. You talk about it because apparently if I say, "Oh, Matt Riddle and Randy Orton kept the belts because they're going to make a fucking $1 million on their shit at WrestleMania," how much validity is there to what I'm saying based on the fact that you've seen that shit?
The shop at these places are worth going by itself. Like, even if you don't have a ticket to Mania and just want to enjoy everything that goes on and go to the Fan Fest and everything, the shop is enormous.
It's half
a convention center. Yes.
Yeah, turned into a shop.
Yeah.
Just to give you,
and it is totally like going to a Target and looking through the shirts and everything. And they have stuff that they weren't selling a while back, which was the Slammies and Undertaker's urn in a casket and all the different jackets, which you just really wouldn't see a lot of stuff. And you see a lot of people walking around. Like, I was saying hello to the Bella's mother who was walking around and just happened to be there. I was like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" You know, and she was actually the one who said, "Hi, how are you?" walking past. But it's enormous.
Let me show you a couple of. Just talk for a second.
I know what exactly you're about to show. Yes, when you were there with your son. But it is everything under the sun, even down to that horrible Birdie B, clothing line that they have there. But it's a wrestling mark's dream to go and buy a bunch of nonsense, because I like to buy. Like, I was just looking online recently to see. There you go. See, they're just walking around the shop. And it's like, wow, it's odd because you see someone and you're like,
I'll show you something.
I thought you were going to show the bigger name.
So, no, I am. I'll show you now. Yeah. So what happened is that we were walking around, and I pointed out Linda McMahon, and my son was just looking at her. And the security guard clocked it. This is when she was like running. By the way, she was involved with Donald Trump, so she had national security with her. So they asked her if he would like a photo opportunity with Linda. Now he goes over, and obviously this makes her look really good. So everybody's like, look how many people are like looking. And on the other side of this, I'm standing with all of these 20 cameras that are taking this photo.
And it's so funny that you're always involved in this stuff. Like always.
And then she does she does the whole like. Can you see this?
The BS,
see, like,
the kissing babies thing. Yes.
Can you see the? Yeah. Can you see the security?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the guy that called. That's the guy in the black that called us over.
And it's so
like
staged and fake, where it's like, now I'm going to look like I'm a concerned, talking to the children and, so personable and all this stuff, where they're like, hey, let's stage this. Give me a break. That's unbelievable.
Oh, this was, they asked, look at that photographer there getting the shot.
Oh my God. Now let me hold this here for a little bit, all right? You get the shot. And then afterwards, she kicked your son in the face when she walked by, right? She shoved him to the floor and said, "Get these disgusting little people away from me." She goes, "Learn your A to Z's, because it's not Z's, son. Stop that." She gave him a slap.
I'm trying to think of something iconic that she even said, apart from "I want a divorce." Like that's the only line that's coming into my head. But yeah, I mean, so that's the kind of stuff that you see. So that I don't know if you got a grasp of from those photos.
No, I mean, you can't see the size of the place. It's a department store is what it is. And like the funny thing is all the belts in that one section. They have every belt possible that they sell, and it is a big tower behind them of everything with the price tag on it. And
do you know who this is?
Oh God, yeah. What's her name? Ivy or Izzy? Izzy, right? There you go.
Izzy. Yeah. It's the young Izzy.
Young Izzy. Now she's like those Brock Lesnar guys and all that stuff. She has to wear the same nonsense to be famous. Now Brock Lesnar guy is Brock Lesnar singing Judas guy, I think, because he was on that AEW pay-per-view now singing.
This is a car. This is in a car. This is a car park
with Jimmy and his Rogaine. So, but yeah, they also have tons of signed stuff, like giant pictures, or the belts that are signed that they sell for 50 times more, because they work you into a frenzy when you're there and you buy everything known to man. You come walking out like an asshole with everything. And
then in my case, you got to ship it. So anyway, let me do this story because we're off track. But this is why we don't read lists. And if you're not interested in everything we went through, like,
people who are into this are into this and watch it, and those who are going to complain are just going to, even if you just read a list, and they'll go, oh, now he doesn't do a show, so who cares? Just do what you want to do.
Yeah, so I do what I want to do anyway.
I know, and even though I've suggested against it, go ahead.
So this situation with Cody is fluid, because at the moment they're preparing for him not being on the card. And these were the pictures that were made for Cody Rhodes. Now, there's stories out there which are saying that Cody Rhodes is now not signed, or there's been snags. No, the issue with Cody was at the very beginning. His agent is a guy who was at one point working with the WWE. WWE had him on board as their own personal agent, essentially. He was working on behalf of the WWE, but he as a goodwill gesture, he delivered them copies of all of the TNA contracts, what people were getting paid when their contracts were expired. And TNA found out, and they sued him, and they sued the WWE. Now, he's now Cody's agent. So the main problem was having him back involved in anything with the WWE when he got them in so much shit. But they've overcome that obstacle now. So that was all at the beginning. The issue is just creative. So the pitches for Cody Rhodes were to face Ricochet for the Intercontinental title from SmackDown, and the Raw pitches that he would have a match with Seth Rollins. Now, obviously, Seth Rollins is the bigger match. The problem that Vince has with it is that later on down the line, Seth Rollins is already programmed in to have a feud with Roman Reigns. They already set it up at the Royal Rumble. So can Seth Rollins take the loss to Cody, or can Cody take the loss to Seth in his first match? It's really a bad situation for both guys. It's all dependent on how far away from WrestleMania the Seth Rollins Roman rematch is, and if it's 4 months down the line, then Seth can win important matches till then. The problem is Vince McMahon in his head believes that everybody definitely remembers what happens at Mania more than everything else. I remember a few years back where he said, Charlotte has to beat Asuka because next year we're doing Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte. That was the planned main event for WrestleMania 34 a year out. no Becky Lynch, just Charlotte versus Ronda. So that's why Charlotte had to win. They had to kill Asuka's streak because Vince McMahon says everybody remembers what happens at WrestleMania. It's a WrestleMania moment. Like that bullshit that they give you, like, you know, all these wrestlers talk about in their promos, that is real internal bullshit. They've now bought into their own bullshit. But the WrestleMania moment is proper, like, internal speak. Like, oh, you're going to have you're on the card. You're going to have your WrestleMania moment. We're going to get everybody on the card. Everybody's going to have their WrestleMania moment.
I can't stand
the
that.
The moment has been like, what the moment is has been watered down by the fact that everybody has one. Like, you know, where you're giving everybody on the card a WrestleMania moment. Like, they're going to think that when Omos beats Babatunde at WrestleMania this year, like, that's going to be like a moment, like, where, you know, these big guys go at it and they're probably going to, like, choke each other and they're going to go, what a WrestleMania
it's
moment.
like a monster
like,
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, who's going to win this power of strength? What a moment. Like, it's not. Like, a moment is Edge fucking going through the fire table and Andre getting slammed by Hogan. But so they're the pictures for Cody. But in terms of there being any doubts with him coming in, I firmly believe that either the SmackDown or the Raw after WrestleMania, he'll be there. And I still feel that he could get on this card. But if he's not on Monday's Raw in Jacksonville, which is AEW country, if he's not in Jacksonville on Monday, I believe Cody Rhodes will be saved till after WrestleMania.
I think he should be saved till after WrestleMania. It's too much
well,
jamming everybody in.
You're not interested in Cody Seth, which is the front runner.
I'm fine with that match, but I don't feel it needs to be now at Mania without anything built up to it. But I don't like the fact of let's jam everybody who's ever had a match this year on WrestleMania. You don't need to. It is okay. They are adults being paid. You don't have to be on.
Listen, I don't mind that, but I don't like the lingo. I don't like it's like, oh, you're going to have your WrestleMania moment. Well, what does that mean? The moment is what? When you walk out. Everybody gets to walk out and have their moment. That's not what the moment is. No. The moments are these very small,
that stick in your head forever.
These iconic moments, and they're not even matches. Like when me and you, we previously used to do a lot more content, and when we gave a shit, and we remember we did the WrestleMania, the best WrestleManias. Mm-hmm. That's a different thing. The best WrestleMania matches,
yeah,
and the best WrestleMania moments. Now, Hulk versus Andre, and Undertaker losing the streak.
Yeah,
I have those as my 1 and 2, and I can't decide which is 1 and which is 2. I put the end of the streak at number 1 because I was there. But I think Andre and Hogan was the moment for so many years that maybe that should be number 1. But, you know, everything else, the Boyhood Dream. But the Boyhood Dream is not the whole match. The Boyhood Dream is the finish and him telling Bret to...
Because I didn't like the match. I was bored by the match.
No.
Yeah.
But you see the difference. It's these micro moments, like these 1 minute...
Warrior beating Hogan. That kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it would be the pinfall, or him holding the 2 belts. Mm-hmm. You know, you get the picture.
Yeah.
So there's different lists that you can do, and you know, I would like to relax a little bit as we get towards WrestleMania season and start maybe having some fun and doing these lists on the show and getting people's comments on them, and people can talk to me on my Twitter account at K100Informer. And I want to do these lists. I want to do like moments and matches and whatnot, and best WrestleManias. 17's obviously first, and I didn't even go to that one, but I still think it's first. But yeah, it's important for me I don't care about who gets on the card, but don't like call it a moment. Your moment is not when you walk out there. That's a different thing. That's your moment, but it's not a grandiose like WrestleMania moment. So what we got? We got a couple of stories.
Yeah, I wanted to say next we're going to talk about Undertaker with the Hall of Fame and not going in by himself. And this was a story that you had last week, and you missed it. You missed it, not as in you got it wrong. You missed it by not saying it because we held off. And I told you, if you have anything, you better let it out, because if you know about it, someone else is going to know about it.
Well, they didn't know about it. The WWE announced it.
But that's what I mean. It's known in the building, which means it could leak out somewhere and somebody could find out.
Okay, so The Undertaker will not be going in the Hall of Fame by himself. We know that now because we heard that Vader was announced this week. That was actually one of the names I was... Yeah, because he's dead.
Yeah, right.
So the interesting thing about this year's Hall of Fame is that The Undertaker has an input on who goes in. They're asking him who he'd like in his class. He's asked for a couple of people. Vader's got in. Sid is rumored. And Earl Hebner, the WWE are not keen on putting in, but Undertaker's very keen on.
Wow.
Now, The Undertaker, the WWE had Michelle McCool planned to go in for the same year as Undertaker, which Undertaker has said no, because Michelle McCool has said no, because she feels that it will look like a charity entry.
I agree.
If she goes in the same year as Undertaker, it'll be overshadowed, and there may even be Undertaker chants out there. Now, I know the Hall of Fame crowd. When I was going to Hall of Fames, and I haven't been for a while, they wouldn't do that, I don't think. But I just don't know. If we saw a guy try and attack Bret Hart, so you never know. So Michelle McCool has asked for Undertaker to ask for Mickie James. So I believe that will end up happening. So on the short list of names that I know is Vader, Sid, Earl Hebner, and Mickie James.
See, the Earl one will be wild because I have never heard the Earl thing at all, which would be real interesting to me. I
don't think he'll get it over the line. I think with Sid and Vader's already done, and that's a dead person. But I mean, it's interesting because you always have there's no talk about a black person or a celebrity, and they're your kind of token gestures that they make each year.
I'm glad they're done with the celebrity thing, kind of. I mean, it looks like it. It almost like Earl would be that place, because he's not a wrestler, one of those things. Last story, which, it's about Carmella. Oh, why? Why would she ruin herself, Billy? That's what I'll say, and you could go on with the story.
Yeah, because she has got the most banging body.
We'll see how far she gets in Miss Lingus. We got record-breaking voting numbers, so we'll see how she does.
I really think we could have waited a week, because not only would you have got more people if you plugged it for a week, you would have got Paige Van Zandt in.
Well, that's
and then we would have had a real.
She's too new still. She got to be around a little bit more.
She's a worldwide superstar.
Yeah, but she's got to be there at least. And the reason why it was that early is because we're recording this next Saturday at my bachelor party. So we had to get this going, and then it will air on that Tuesday. So we had to get it done ahead of time.
Yeah, Cav's only inviting vaccinated people to his bachelor party.
I'm only inviting 3 people to my bachelor party, to tell you the truth.
I was thinking, like, why don't you, because I can't get to the wedding, right? But you're all vaccinated. So
not everybody, not her family.
Oh.
No.
Because I was going to say, you could come and get married over here. Like,
listen, it's planned already. Let's all fly to Billy. Are you not coming, you don't think? I can't imagine. I mean,
not unless the law changes.
I was going to say they're
not changing it. They're not changing it for Djokovic. So
I don't know when that would be changed, but at the same time, I'm like, you get the shot for the wedding, Billy. We're all going to be there. Umar's going to be there. Nick's going to be there. We're all going to be there, and you're going to hang yourself. You're going to hang yourself when you see us, and we're going to be podcasting the whole time, and it's going to be all over my podcast stuff. You will be so upset. It's worth getting the shot. Look, Billy, I'm alive. Look at me. I'm dancing around. I'm alive, and I got shots. But aren't you going to try to get to Mania this year? And that was going to be the test. If you can get to Mania, then you would come.
Yeah, I was going to try to get to Mania, but it's Austin's not wrestling now, and also, the thing I need to do to get there, which I won't talk about, that's pretty expensive in itself.
Yeah,
so.
and you know what? Be set for the next year because it's in L.A. and I will be there. And then we can meet up there because LA it's only down the block.
Well,
hopefully
the law is changed.
I would think so. By then everything's going to be totally dealt with. So just remember to RSVP and say no.
You sure?
I think so.
There's new variants. There's World War III.
Well, that's why it's gone away, because of World War III. But over here right now, there is no mandates anymore. We're done. So I don't need to wear them in the gym. I don't need to wear them to a restaurant. I can eat them in a hat. I can eat them in a box with a fox, all that stuff. So it's you're good over here. But it's a matter of coming in the country. That's where the difference is now. You'd have to wear a mask on a plane, but there's no show your vaccine to get on a plane unless I think you're going to Hawaii, maybe, something like that. But, yeah, it's just to get into the country. So that's where you're screwed. But remember to RSVP to say no.
Okay. So, yeah, back to Carmella. Carmella is likely to be taking some time off soon to have a baby.
Ugh.
The YouTube show is there at the moment to test the waters, because WWE are keen to do something with a wedding and with a pregnancy. Now, this is something WWE are keen to do. I don't know why. It's something they want to tap into. They made an approach to the Bellas to cover an entire pregnancy, which was turned down. And then they made an approach to Ronda Rousey to essentially, I don't know how to word this, purchase the pregnancy or purchase rights to the pregnancy. To which Ronda Rousey said no. So they want to have a whole like, oh, she's pregnant and the baby got born kind of show, and they want to have like this whole wedding as well. So they got the couple here. They got the couple here to do it with. They're testing things out with a YouTube show, but the numbers on the show at the moment are not great. There's been a steady decline from episode 1 to episode 5. Each episode's lower than the first, but yeah, I don't think they're that bad. I can watch anything that's 10 minutes, and each episode is 10 minutes. So
and I can't imagine someone sitting on YouTube watching something that's like over 45 minutes. I would never do such a thing, so I don't know how they would...
But instead of watching this show, you could have watched that whole series, and you would have like...
Are they each 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow. That's...
I'll tell you what, though. Dude, some of the shit... Carmella, like, some of the stuff she wears, like what she wears to go and see houses... I can't believe like that she would wear that. Like unless it's like
she's showing a lot.
Hot and pits. Oh yeah.
Oh really? I haven't seen any.
She's basically wearing a bra to go and see houses.
She knows the camera's following her.
Yeah, it's more than you see like on TV. Like it's definitely worth watching.
How many? Corey's already got 3 kids, right?
Yeah, they're in it. Yeah.
Oh man, he's gonna have another one, huh? And start all over again. Boy, oh boy. Well, I'm glad I'm not having any, Billy. Isn't the world lucky?
I only have one,
and you've been wanting to have another.
Well, my son's 11 now, and it's not that much fun anymore. So
I see. That's when I would like the kid, when it's older. I don't want the baby. I want a kid that could throw a ball. That's when I want the kid.
You don't. I've been through like the prime 3 to 7 is the prime age. It's really fun. 3 to like it's been less fun every year since he was 8.
I've been so tired. I'm 46. I'm like, I can't even imagine running around and chasing it. Oh my God. I don't know how Nick does it. He's got a 3-year-old or something. What is that kid? 3 or 4? Something like that. But that kid's running around, and I'm like, no, I'd be too tired. I'd be constantly want to go to sleep. So I'll have dogs and cats. That's what I'll have.
So before we do plugs and whatnot, I want to ask people for a big favor, like, because obviously there's going to be thousands of people watching this. I need someone to reach out to me if you have a WrestleMania 17 plaque. I want the WrestleMania 17 plaque for Stone Cold Steve Austin. I've been on a list. I've been on his site.
Is it this one right there, Billy?
I know you got it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there.
I know you got it.
The Austin one.
So I signed up to this site to get like a notification immediately if this thing was ever sold on the internet, on eBay or any auction site. And it was. One came up on eBay, but it's in terrible condition with no COA. So I can't buy that one. Just no point. Because I ain't gonna want. None of my stuff's in bad condition, so I can't put it up. So I'm looking for a good condition Stone Cold Steve Austin WrestleMania 17 signed plaque, and I will pay decent money for it. Like I've already made Cam an offer for his.
You know what? I might put mine up on eBay for like a crazy number and see if it goes. And then if not, because I told the Duchess about your offer, and she said she was fine with it, and that was my main concern because she gave it to me as a gift, so I like it and everything like that. So I'm like that does something too. Where I'm
How
like,
did she find it? How did she find it?
It was a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago, and I got it as like a birthday gift or something.
I can't believe she found that.
Yeah, because I go, you know what, I would like an Austin autograph, and that's what she gave me. How about a bullseye like that?
But so you wouldn't care if it was 15, 16, or 14, 15, or 17?
Oh, no, I would have been fine if it... I wasn't like I needed that. I just asked for like a framed 8x10 of Austin signed. That was it. You know?
But you got that other one from your prize pack as well.
Yeah, I do. I do have an Austin one. I didn't even remember that I had that, Ian. But yeah. Yeah, and I'm taking offers from my prize pack if you want to look on at Lingus Mafia, the pinned tweet. I have everything available, maybe not 1 and 2, because that might be sold, but there's always offers to be made. But everything on there is up except for 10 and 11. But if you guys want to buy stuff that I have a lot of cool memorabilia in there, just check it out. You'll see the pinned tweet. Billy's pinned tweets, you can find them, and you can find him yelling at a lot of people on that. K100 Informer on Twitter. And also, betting packages, Billy. People, you clean slate. You got them all right at the AEW pay-per-view.
Yeah, I actually got a clean sweep on the EPL soccer today as well. So yeah, I'm sweeping all over the place. If you want to get a package in time, get it now for WrestleMania. I know you're going to say, "Oh, we'll get it in April because that's when WrestleMania is." But all the lines are going to go crazy once they see like everyone's betting on Roman Reigns, for example. Like he's already a favorite, but once they see loads of money coming in, and people are certain, but the odds get worse and worse and worse. And if I have information on something, then it helps a lot. Like at the moment, you have things like I saw some stuff where all the celebrities are underdogs. Logan Paul and Miz are underdogs.
Really?
Pat McAfee's an underdog. And I'm looking at it and going, Sami Zayn is a massive favorite. And I'm looking at this and going, do you know this company? Do you know how disrespectful they are to their own? Do you know how bad? Like every celebrity in history that's coming from Bad Bunny to LT to Mike Tyson, they've all got to win or make the wrestlers look bad.
Yeah.
How can every wrestler be a favorite against all the celebrities? So immediately I've noticed some like errors with the lines. So yeah, if you want to get involved, logbetting.com. We do all sports and we have 105 months in a row of transparent chat profit. My wrestling is available at thedaysheets.com. So all these stories that I'm talking about here, they're out there first and we talk about them here. And my Twitter account for wrestling is at K100 Informer. That's where you can talk to me about wrestling or give me shit. And I'll give you shit, and someone will get blocked eventually.
Yeah, check out. I have a free show up right now. Just search.
But actually, let me just say, it's not. Sorry, I'll let you say that in a second. But it's not all shit. People have been listening and talking to me and retweeting and there's loads of likes on my tweets and there's loads of interactions and agreements and debates and it's a lot better. It's a lot better. So yeah, head over to there and just do what you're doing at K100 Informer.
So yeah, I do my wrestling review shows, and I put a full free one up just today. Just search Lingus Mafia wherever you get your podcasts, and it's our AEW review where we make fun of. I won't even say. Just go there to hear it. It's. I was laughing so hard my headphones fell off. All right, Billy, we will be back next week with some more information. It's WrestleMania season, baby. Let's go. Let's go. For Mr. Billy Body, I'm Cav Manning. See you next week.